One of the most interesting parts about this chapter of One Piece has to be the reveal of Tama's Devil Fruit, or what it can actually do to Smile Fruit users. I've already kind of talked about this and speculated on it a couple of chapter reviews back, talking about how maybe, Tama's, Devil Fruit could be used for Hold'em lying on his stomach to get him in complete control, and for Hold'em can control him or something. I talked about that. But now with the true reveal of how Tama actually can get Smile users under her command to actually follow what she wants, she probably is one of the most important characters of the Wano Arc. And let me explain why. Kaido has, I think, 10,000 Smile soldiers under his command. That means that, pretty much, Tama can get 10,000 soldiers under her command that would listen to her, because of her Devil Fruit power. Now, from what I can assume on how this works, is because Smile users are not really proper Devil Fruit users. They're imperfect, which we have seen already that there's been some problems. The way they look to their forms, the way they use zone abilities, it's not normal. It's not something that we have seen, like, from Chopper, for instance. Just their Devil Fruit, or the Smile Fruits, they're not normal by any means. They're like knockoff cheap imitations to the real thing, and they really can't perform properly. They do have some unique traits, which we saw Hold'em do when he had the lion. Like, his lion was spitting out fire. But overall, they are definitely not what we're normally used to. And so I'm assuming the reason why Tama was able to take control of Speed was because she is actually half horse. Not just for her, but for all Smile users. I believe that all Smile users could actually be affected by Tama's Devil Fruit. So if she was, let's say, to give this to anyone, even let's say Hold'em would follow her lead and follow her completely because, how her Devil Fruit works. So yeah, I think Tama's Devil Fruit is probably one of the most important pieces of this arc. Like, she definitely is going to be critical to probably taking down Kaido's army and allowing Luffy to eventually maybe being the controller of the Wano country. Maybe he could actually be, like, the emperor of the country. Kind of similar to how Whitebeard went around taking territories. This might become something of Luffy's territory if, it progresses like this with Tama, using her Devil Fruit power. But regardless, though, the point is that it's funny, though. It's funny how Speed now is underneath Luffy and Tama's command. That's probably one of the funniest things about this chapter, is that someone like Speed, which you'd think wouldn't have, been under command of Luffy or something, turns out to be like his noble steed, which is it's hilarious. It's pretty freaking hilarious when I think about it, and it's definitely an Oda move. It's a classic Oda move to do something like that to her character, and I feel like she's necessarily this, like, arc's, like, Caesar. It seems like Speed has her original human personality, like, she doesn't want to do it, but at the same time, her horse personality will follow through with what Tama wants, and so I feel like it's going to be, like I said, a Caesar thing. So, I am looking forward to the interaction with Speed and the Straw Hat crew, or other Smile users that Tama gets a hold of. Let's talk about a critical piece of information that this chapter really did, or set up for Luffy. It's setting up Luffy to being the controller of this territory. Like, once everything is said and done, once Kaido is, like, eventually pushed out of this territory, and Big Mom is settled too, because we know she's coming as well, once everything is said and done, I believe that this is going to be a big step for Luffy to start gaining territory. He already has Fishman Island. We know that. And we know that Luffy, technically, he probably wants to watch over Dressrosa as well. And I feel like this will be another major step, like a big territory he might own in the future, would be, Wano country. It would definitely be something. Like, he could replace Kaido as this overlord and just be truly, like, nice person that feeds everybody, make sure, they're all happy. Kind of similar to how Whitebeard was, how he was giving up all his treasure and money to the villagers from his homeland. I feel like Luffy might do something very similar. This has been a very dark arc, by the way. There was a very dark scene in this chapter when you see, like, the mother about to, just end it all. I mean, you see a rope, too, and you're like, oh my god, like, it's really dark. I mean, even for Oda standards, it's a pretty dark arc. Like, there's a a lot of dark things behind the scenes that you would not normally see. And obviously, after many years of writing One Piece, Oda has gotten a little bit more flexible. Like, he's able to do whatever he wants with his series. I think Weekly Shonen Jump at this point, they're like, Oda, do whatever you want. I think that's pretty much how they are nowadays, because, you know, One Piece makes them so much money. He's the #1 mangaka, so, I mean, it makes sense why he probably can get away with stuff that maybe normal shonen artists might not be able to. And I feel like this, once again, is kind of like Oda flexing his capabilities as a mangaka and his #1 status, because, I mean, he can get away with something as dark as that. That's pretty dark. That is a dark theme that we saw in this chapter, and if that says anything, that means people has done this before already in the Town of Leftovers. That wasn't just a one-time thing. There's probably been many families that have just ended it all because they just couldn't go on anymore because of the lack of food, water, and all that, seeing their children suffer. So yeah, Oda definitely setting up something incredibly sinister. Now, speaking of which, let's talk about the ending point of the chapter. It's revealed that there's multiple gravestones. At the old fortress of Odin, when he fell, it was revealed that there's gravestones, names on them, that represent, like, Kinemon, Momo, Raizo, and all that, and this had me wondering as soon as I saw it. There's probably already many theories in the community right now, in the One Piece community, talking about it, but all the names on the gravestones, it makes me really wonder. Did our characters, like Kinemon and Momo and all that, did they fake their deaths, and everybody truly thinks they're dead because they're building up a resistance, and that's what the gravestones are for? Or are they actually ghosts? See, hear me out here, okay? It was stated the ghost of Wano. Now, this can be a different type of meaning here, because I don't truly understand Japanese, and there could be different meanings to different layers of kanji or whatever. Like, they could have a whole nother meaning to compare to what we saw in this chapter with the translation. But either A, they truly are ghosts, or they actually just, you know, fake their deaths and they're playing undercover, which makes me wonder, does that mean that Odin is dead? Or is he alive? See, remember, Momo said that his father's actually dead, and he saw what Kaido did to him. But what's to say that maybe that isn't a lie? Because we also gotta remember that Momo and Kinemon and all them, they held on to a lie for a very long time, for hundreds of chapters, which shocked us all when we finally got to the Zou arc. It really just blew all of our minds. It was honestly one of the most stunning twists to the story I never expected, with Momo and Kinemon and the lie they had, and how far Zou went as well. It was just a crazy moment. So, I feel like there is a potential possibility maybe Odin could be alive, for all we know. And if he really is dead, then it makes you wonder, is the characters that we've been in contact with, like Kinemon and all that, are they still alive? Are they ghosts? I mean, what's going on there? I mean, it really does make you wonder. Oda Sensei has a lot of potential here. He has, like, a lot of potential with the story right now, especially with this reveal, because, I mean, there's many things he can do. He can probably pull out from, you know, ancient folklore of Japan. Like, I mean, there's so many different stories and stuff in ancient Japan, like stories about demons or, you know, just creatures or whatever, like monsters, that, you know, he could probably do some pretty interesting stuff with this reveal. For all we know, maybe they really are ghosts. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of things that we can get from this chapter, but if there's one thing, I feel like that reveal is definitely a lot of setup for something really crazy to happen in the near future. I mean, even Zoro himself said he was surprised when he saw it, and I highly doubt the gravestones are actually just the main surprise. And I don't think it's as simple as Oda maybe being alive. I feel like there's more to it than that. I mean, Oda's already getting into some pretty dark stuff, but then the question is, if, let's say they were ghosts then, does that mean that Momo's dead? And if Momo's dead, then what if, like, what's going to happen to the country? Like, who's going to be the real shogun then, once everything is done? Could it be Luffy? Or, you know, what if Momo's the only one alive, but everyone else around him is actually dead? Who knows? I mean, we also got to remember that Kinemon uses, like, a foxfire thing, so it's kind of similar to, like, a spirit or something. So, the hints have been in our face for a while now about something like this. Just think about it. But okay, so, dropping that for a second, I want to talk about how the situation has escalated a lot. With Hold'em's defeat, that means that Jack is going to be making his move. Now, I've already discussed this in my last chapter review, with Jack now pretty much going to be taking into the foreground now. He's no longer going to be in the background, and he's probably going to go after Luffy or the entire town that just had their food stolen. You know, it makes me wonder, who's going to bring down Jack? We know that Luffy, he took down Katakuri. And Katakuri, as I've already said, I believe Katakuri is probably stronger than Jack. I'm not saying that Jack is weak. I mean, he is pretty much Kaido's right-hand man, but Katakuri was definitely a strong fellow. And he didn't inflate his, his bounty like Jack obviously does. Jack does have endurance and stamina because he took a hit from a giant elephant, but it still doesn't change the fact that I think Katakuri is just a hell of a lot stronger. So, honestly, I don't know if Jack is going to be defeated by Luffy or not. Like, the reason why I'm saying that is I feel like Jack's opponent might not be Luffy, but someone else a part of Luffy's crew. It might be, Wano itself. Maybe people of Wano. It might be, like, Inu and Neko that stand up to Jack. Who freaking knows? Or it could be Zoro. But, I mean, I just don't think this will be Luffy's fight. I don't believe that Jack will be Luffy's opponent. I mean, he might have a brief scuffle with him, but I don't think the end result of bringing down Jack will be Luffy. I believe it'll be someone from Luffy's crew, or it'll be the people of Zou. What happened to them, and they'll, fight up, stand up for, what happened to them in the past, and actually take down Jack. Something like that could potentially happen. Now, anyways, shelving that, I also want to talk about how Tama, she was reminded of Ace. Which is like I think many of us assumed. With what Luffy did, using a move that was very reminiscent of Ace, obviously Tama might remember Ace, and that is actually what happened. She did remember Ace, Luffy reminded her of Ace, and I think she's going to start to come to terms that Ace is truly dead. Moving forward, now obviously Luffy didn't hear her words. Like, there was a lot of noise going on, she wasn't able to really say what she wanted to say, like, you reminded me of Ace, but she said it, we as the audience got to see it, so we know her true intentions, her feelings, so I believe that this is the first step of her acceptance of Ace being gone, and I believe before everything is said and done, Tama might ask a hard question to Luffy, like, can I come with you? I feel like that might happen. Like, before this arc is done, Tama might say, can I join you on your crew? Which would be very interesting. I mean, imagine if Luffy actually got Tama on his crew, on his ship, which would fit with what Roger did in the past. Think about it. Think about Shanks and Buggy. They were kids. They were legit kids on, Roger's crew. So it makes sense that Luffy being the next Pirate King, because we know what's going to happen, that he would have, let's say, the next generation on his ship, which would be Tama. That would be really cool if that's what's being set up there. Wouldn't that be interesting? I think it would be. I mean, it would be very similar to what, Shanks and Buggy went through. But who knows? Maybe I'm just saying things, random things that don't make sense. But I feel like that's being set up for that. That Luffy's got probably accept that offers like, yeah, you know what? Join me. Join me on my, trip to the end of the Grand Line to eventually find One Piece and become the king of pirates. Be cool. So, Law had his encounter with, Hawkins and all that. And Hawkins, he demonstrated some absurd strength. Like, he was able to actually repel an attack that Law did. Like, Law's, attack, his Devil Fruit Hike can, like, just split someone in half with his abilities. It actually split someone else up besides Hawkins, which is incredibly powerful. So he can actually negate Devil Fruit abilities as well, like effects of a Devil Fruit with his Scarecrow doll. So that's cool. So Hawkins is definitely someone that has a lot of utility, and I do believe in the grand scheme of things, though, Law would still win, because Law's Devil Fruit it's broken, okay? Let's face the facts here. Law's Devil Fruit is scary broken. Like, what we saw him do against Doffy, to what we saw in Punk Hazard, Law is someone that you really cannot underestimate with his Devil Fruit. His Devil Fruit is crazy strong. And so I feel like if it was really a straight-up brawl and the fight continued on for a long period of time, I do believe that Law would come out on top and win against Hawkins. But still, even though Hawkins would probably lose, it's still impressive that Hawkins was able to kind of negate Law's ability like that with, one of Hawkins' subordinates. That's cool. But okay. I think that's pretty much about it. I mean, it's a pretty simple chapter, straight to the point. A lot of questions, obviously, but it's still a freaking good chapter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that Jack is not going to be Luffy's opponent, but someone else's? Do you think that Tama might join Luffy's crew and be like the equivalent of what Buggy and Shanks was on Roger's crew? I mean, be honest in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.